Today we're going to be talking about unicellular and multicellular organisms. And if you guys remember, when we're thinking about organisms, we are thinking about any living thing. So anytime you see the word organism, you are going to want to replace organism with the words living thing. So, what is a living thing? First of all organisms or living things must perform the following life functions in order to be considered living. They must be able to grow. They must be able to move. They must be able to reproduce or make more of themselves. They must be able to respirate, which is a fancy word for breathe, like we. We breathe out carbon dioxide and we breathe in oxygen. Trees and plants, on the other hand, they breathe in carbon dioxide and they breathe out oxygen. So we're interdependent on one another. Plants and humans and animals need one another to survive. Another thing that living things must be able to do to be considered living is they have to be able to get nutrition or digest food in order to get energy. So as we've talked about before, with the food chains, sometimes plants make their energy from the sun through a process called photosynthesis. But consumers, they have to be able to consume or eat other things in order to get their energy. So we all have to have energy to live. All living things have to get energy from somewhere. And as we start studying this more and more, we'll see that not everybody acquires their energy in the same way. And last but not least, all living things have to be able to excrete or get rid of their waste. Yes, guys, we're talking about, peeing and pooping. I know that's every fifth grader's favorite thing to talk about when we're talking about life functions. But yes, all living things have to be able to get rid of waste. So keep that in mind as we're going into our studies about cells and living things, because that's how we're going to tell whether or not something's living or non-living, biotic or abiotic. And also, each of these 6 things are going to look different based on what organism or living thing we're talking about. So first of all, again, an organism's a living thing, and all living things are made up of cells. A cell is the smallest unit of life that is classified as a living thing. So you might hear it said that cells are the building blocks of all living things. So, do all living things have the same amount of cells? I'm going to give you a minute just to think on that. Let's think about an elephant and you. Do you think that you have the same amount of cells as an elephant? What about a flower and you? Do you and a flower have the same amount of cells? Hopefully by the end of this unit, you'll be able to answer that question and be able to explain your answer. So first of all, cellular means to be made up of cells. All organisms are made up of cells. However, some organisms or living things are multicellular. That means that they are made up of many cells. And some organisms are unicellular. That means that they're made up of only one cell. We can use prefixes to help us to remember these terms. The prefix uni means one. For example, a unicycle. That's a bicycle with just one tire or one wheel. A unibrow. That is someone with one eyebrow because the 2 eyebrows have grown together. So uni means one. A unicellular organisms, those are living things that are made up of one cell. Some examples of unicellular organisms are paramecium, bacteria, and amoeba. These are living things that are only made up of one cell. Now, we can also use prefixes to help us to remember what multicellular means. The prefix multi means many. For example, a multifunction tool, like a Swiss Army knife. That is one tool that has many functions. Also, a multimillionaire. That is a person who has many millions of dollars. I bet we all wish we could be a multimillionaire. And lastly, we have multicolored as an example. This Xbox controller, sorry PlayStation friends, this Xbox controller has many colors. Now, let's put together what we know about multi and organisms. So multicellular organisms are living things that are made up of many cells, such as plants and animals and even us, people. We are all considered multicellular organisms. Our bodies are made up of many, many cells. And we're going to dig deeper into that later in the week. But we're just going to start there with knowing that we are multicellular organisms along with animals and plants. So I'm going to leave you with this chart before you go off and do your assignments. All living things are considered organisms. Organisms can either be made up of one cell or many cells. They are either unicellular or multicellular. Now, following the left column, unicellular organisms are organisms that have only one cell. Those are our amoeba, bacteria, paramecium. And if you guys remember, bacteria, that's a decomposer. So when you think about our decomposers, some of them are going to be a single-celled organism. Now, on the right column, we have multicellular organisms. These are living things that are consisting of many cells, such as plants and animals, and yes, even you and me. So today, as you're working on your assignments, I want you to keep these things in mind, as well as the passage that you have read. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send me a message or jot them down, and you and I will discuss them at our Zoom time from 1 to 3 today. I hope you all enjoyed the lesson and you got something from it. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to write them down, and I will answer them at our session from 1 to 3 today. Or if you had any aha moments, or you have another example of a word using the prefixes uni or multi, I would love to hear your examples. So just jot them down so you don't forget them when we talk later this afternoon. I miss you guys. Bye.